All right, just getting set up. Hi, everybody. It's Connie, and I'm live. And I know it's weird to have nothing on the screen when we start here, but let me just find my comments. Have Facebook catch up with me a little. Okay, so just straighten out my camera a little bit. So I have two amazing cards to make today. Gonna have so much fun, but I wanted to show you, I've been sorting my Halloween paper like crazy, and I just wanted to show you that this is indeed Halloween papers that were in my stash, okay? And when I flipped them over, I was like, oh, gears. That looks like a car thing or something. The cats, when I flipped it over, it has this cool black pattern with like an ultraviolet coating, UV coating. And then the back side of this alphabet is this cool foil silver. And then I found this Halloween print. The back is this one, but I was like, that kind of looks like fencing or mesh or something. I'm like, I can use these for a car layout. And so I started putting them together. It's like you can't see since I zoomed in so tight. Since I'm doing cards today, I didn't want my camera really far away, and then this paper that has the cool, like, gears and stuff, like movie reels and gears and schematics on it, is actually a Halloween paper. The back is purple and has little spiders all over it. Yikes. But I just thought this is going to make a fabulous car layout, because I already have plans. I have photo mats. I am ready to roll. And I'm like, how weird to find things like that in my Halloween stash. Anyway, I thought that was strange. Let me put this aside. Okay, let me zoom back in just a bit. Hi, Heather. Hello. I think you're really going to like my project today, you guys. A lot. So let me just preface this by saying that about a year ago, I took a class put on by Hero Arts or something, and they had a card very similar to this. And I remember thinking, I'm going to make some of those. I'm just going to do it. And I recently took another Hero Arts class, and they had another card very similar made by Jennifer McGuire. And I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, everywhere I look, I'm seeing the arch front cards. They're all over the place, right? Oh, Heather, that's a good idea. She says she catalogs details of the papers. Yeah, see, I just don't do that. I'm just sort of more of a on-the-fly scrapbooker. I just grab a bunch of papers and go. I don't always use a kit, but most of the time I have my papers packaged together, kit format. But I had that one packaged as Halloween, so whatever. Anyway, these magic reveal cards, this was made by Jennifer McGuire, something similar. I'm using her general idea and doing my own thing with it using Stampin' Up product. So I think you're really gonna like it, because it obviously is popular right now, and it's obviously an awesome card, and it's a great way to use this paper that I normally wouldn't use. Look at that. It's a magic reveal. Do you love it? So I'm going to show you how to make this one, and then I'm going to use different products and make a second one. So yeah, buckle in. It might be a minute. So to make this card, it's so cool. It just pulls up and it reveals your colored background, right? So you're probably wondering what papers I used. And here's my problem with scrapbooking paper is that in every pack, there's always one or two prints that are not my style, okay? And then what do you do with those last two prints that you don't love? And then there's always a couple that I'm hoarding because I know I love them and I don't know what to do with them. This is the Lovely and Beautiful 12 by 12 paper, 166957. And you know I've been using it like crazy. As a matter of fact, all I have left is now these two sheets with the peach on the back and this one with the coral. That's it. That's what I got. A couple of scraps over here. Because I've been scrapbooking with it, and why not? I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous. Look at this. You saw me make these pages, I think. Did you see me make these pages? I can't remember if I videoed this. Oh, excuse me. Spring is here. I'm starting to sneeze. Okay, so yeah, I made these couple of pages, and these are the pages I'm sending to my customers this month who are scrapbookers. And then I think this one is one that you saw me make, but I just made a lot of different ones using the different papers. I used the ephemera pack to add the accent because I like the gold accent. It's kind of subtle. And look how springy that is, you guys. I'm not a purple person, but I'll tell you what, this one was like, wow, I like it. Anyway, so that's how I used some of this paper pack. I really think it's beautiful. So yeah, so what I did, I had two sheets left of this floral. The back side of this floral is this one. And I do not like dainty, tiny flowers very much. I struggle to use them in everything. There's a block. My creative block always happens with these daintier, smaller flowers. Unless they're monochromatic, I have trouble. And so I knew I would not use that paper. And then the other side was this gold. And now, a lot of demonstrators like to color these gold papers. I'm going to zoom back in a little, sorry. But I really want you to be able to see what I'm doing today. So these gold papers are like, I don't know, they're okay. Coloring them obviously is a work of art. But what I did, I had two sheets. So I stacked them together and I cut them into 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch panels, which meant I ended up with like 6 panels, right? 6 panels. And because there were two sheets stacked on each other, they're identical. So I ended up with identical panels because I used 2 sheets and stacked them when I cut them. So they are exactly the same, okay? You see that? That matters in this card. That's why I'm stressing it, is that it really does make a difference when you're doing this card, you need 2 panels that are identical. And you can see how I did this. And then to pick which panel to use is up to you. But I knew I was going to make all of them into cards. And so I just kept the panels together. And then I had this left. This is all I have left. And I will probably I'll put it in that paper pack for now, but I'll probably get rid of those. I don't mind throwing away such a small thing, but, you know, if I can use them, I will. The other stash that I'm busting today is, this is the Celebratory Sips paper. I don't love these tiny purple flowers. I don't know. There's just something. I didn't have anything to go with it, and it's too busy for a big part of a scrapbook page. And so I was like, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. But I love this side. I love the geometric type patterns, just the plain Jane patterns. It's almost like using just a sheet of cardstock, but it's got just enough texture that you can use it, you know, on a card base, right? And so I cut those into panels also so that I can use these for my cards. Okay. Sorry, I wish I had a Kleenex close on. I'm sneezing. Okay, so this is just a standard card base. I just cut it in half. I'm gonna wait to score it just for a minute. I have my panel, and I'm gonna attach my panel to my card base. Now, I'm gonna put a lot more adhesive on it than I normally do because I'm gonna die cut into this, okay? And let me just put that on. I'm a little shaky. That's weird. Okay, so there we go. There's the front of our card and the back of our card. And the next thing that I need is to cut my window into the front of my card. Now, you can use whatever size you want. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. You decide. This is going to show. Now, I wanted it to be big. However, the biggest size, I mean, you wouldn't even, I need to be able to put a little tiny bit of foam tape around the edge, and that big size is too big, okay? So I call that number 1. Number 2, the next size in, is a nice size because I can fit foam like a pocket around the side, and I am going to definitely use that one. Number 3, third size in, 1, 2, 3, is one size smaller where you can make like a little mat. So on this card, what you will see is I have a hole cut in the center of the card, and I made a little mat frame. So this is how I did it. I'm taking number 3, I'm pulling off number 2, I'm setting it aside, I'm using number 3 on my card base, and it doesn't, I'm just gonna kind of try to center it a little bit on the card. It really helps having those lines on there, doesn't it? I'm gonna get out my die cut mat. Mine's magnetic, which is really nice, but you can tape it. All right, so I have that pretty straight. I'm going to run this through my machine really quick. Sometimes when I'm running through cardstock and pattern, I'll run it through twice. We'll see. I may not need to. Talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Okay. Let's see if it cut through if I need to go through a second time. Sometimes when you go through so many layers, you know what I mean? Ta-da! Okay, I have my window. Now I can score that end. What's really cool about this is now I have this arch that I can use on a different card. Right? Okay. Okay, now I have my number 2 and my number 3. I just want a white, let's just say I want a white arch. I'm gonna grab some white cardstock and I'm gonna lay it down, and I'm gonna lay this down, and I'm gonna center these suckers, and I'm either gonna use my magnet mat, which is what I usually do, or you can use a little piece of tape like that, and I just make sure the gap is the same all the way around and run that through. Okay? What you end up with, let me see if I did that for my card already. I did mine with gold, but basically what you end up with is this cut. Okay? Now I did mine in gold, because gold, yeah. But you see what you get. And what's really nice is you get the size of the bigger arch with the detail, and then the smaller arch cuts it out in the center, and you end up with another panel that you can use on another card. So, you know, you end up with the small size panel for another card. Okay, so this is how I have all these crazy panels in this bin next to me because I'm constantly cutting stuff like this, and you end up with the arch. Okay, so next thing, we need to score. I'm gonna get out my trimmer here instead of my scoreboard. Just all I'm doing is scoring this in half, right at the 4 1/4 mark, and just score it. Now, this is the weird thing. I'm going to put foam tape in the middle of this card. And sometimes, instead of just scoring it down the center, I don't know if you can see it. I scored this one just straight down the center like normal card base. And you see how when I put my foam in, it made that like pucker? I think I would like that squared off just a little. So I'm going to move this over like a 1/16 of an inch. I know, just a hair. And I'm going to score it. And then I'm going to move it back to the 4 1/4. And then I'm going to move it in a 1/16 of an inch. And I'm going to score it. So what happens is I end up with, do you see that? Like a score on each side of the 4 1/4. Now, the 4 1/4, it helps if you score that too, but I just wanted to show you close up. If you do that, it's kind of like, wow, what do I want to say? It's like, you know, like the roll top tables, right? The roll top tables. You know what I'm saying? It'll give it a little bit more of a give, I guess, like, you know, and then just kind of fold it on these scores a little bit. What it does is it keeps it from puckering so much. I know it's fussy. You don't have to do it. See, I didn't do it here, but I just thought I could make that look a little cleaner, I guess. All right, and then when I put my foam tape in, do you see it'll be more of a straight line there? I don't know, I like how that looks better. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But now let's go ahead and prep the inside. Well, let's go ahead and do our panels and get our panels ready. We can't do the foam until we get our inside ready. So on the inside, what we want is a colored piece, right? We want the beautiful piece to go on the inside. And so we need to put that on first. Now, yes, you could watch me color. If you want to watch me color, I could color this whole panel because that is exactly what I did. I got out, you can see, I got out my tri-blend markers. I just went green all over the leaves, did a little bit of shading, not much, really quick. This was a very fast coloring job. I just used like 4 colors or something and just went crazy. And I just tried to include color, the green, of the paper, the purple of the arch. I just tried to make it, you know, look good, whatever. All right. The other panel we need is the blank one, and we need to make it small enough to fit into the pocket. So we'll do that in just a moment. So here's our blank one. I backed it onto a piece of cardstock because it's DSP. It's not very sturdy. It's gonna get a lot of in, out, and I didn't want it to get all mashed up in there because DSP is a little thin. So I just put it on a panel. Yeah, I'm using a lot of cardstock, but look how beautiful the card is. It's totally worth it, totally worth it. Okay, are you ready to see my panel that I colored? Whoa. I know, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Now, this paper doesn't appear to have an up and a down or a, I don't know. It doesn't seem to have a direction. But I felt like it went this way. I mean, you could turn it. I guess it could go that way. Some of the flowers are pointing that way. And then to me, some of the flowers look upside down. So I just kind of went with my own personal preference. And I'm going this way. All right. So what we need to do is we need to put our beautiful colored panel on the inside and attach it. So let's do that. Now, what's fun, I was laughing because, all right, this side, you know, is gold. And then the other side is that floral print. And look how nasty that looks on the other side where my alcohol markers went through. Yee. Right? All right, so we're going to put this on the inside and just sort of center it the best you can. Now, you want it up a little towards the top. And more center it side to side, but make it a little closer to the top. Because when you put your panel in, it's going to hit that speed bump that we're going to put down there. We're going to put foam tape around the edge to make a pocket, and this thing will hit it and it won't go down as far as your panel, and then it won't be as in line. I don't know. That might just be a fussy thing. You know what I mean? But since we're putting foam tape in, I want to make sure that, you know, it somewhat lines up. I know the blue, right? The blue. It's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, we are ready for foam tape. I'm getting out the strips. These are the Stampin' Up foam strips, and I love that they are skinny. They're skinny, and I'm gonna put one on this side all along this side, and we're gonna put one along the bottom. And then that's just one strip. And then I'm going to use another strip to go all along the edge. And I'm going kind of close to the edge because I want as much of that pocket. I want that pocket to be a fairly good size so that my arch, you know, you don't want to put foam tape where it shows in your arch on the front, right? You want to put it on the edge. Isn't that pretty? Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, before we close it, let's figure out what size of pocket we need. Obviously, I cut this panel the same size as this one, and now I've added foam tape. It's too big. It overhangs, and it looks like it overhangs by a good little over 1/4 of an inch. So here's how I did it. You want it centered, which means you got to sliver off each side. You can't, if you cut so that you just chop a 1/4 inch off here, your patterns won't line up anymore. So you got to take a little off of each side. So I am going to start with about 1/8 of an inch on this side. It may not be enough, you guys. And then I'm going to take 1/8 of an inch off the bottom and 1/8 of an inch off of the other side. And then I'm going to check it again. I know I could measure. I mean, I have measures. All right, look, perfect. Look at that. See? And it lines up and everything. Isn't that great? I love it. I love it. Now, before I close this up, this is going to obviously go in, right? This is going to go in. So I need a way to pull it out. And so before I mess around with that too much more, I need to punch a finger notch or something, ideally, in here. And so I have a couple of ways you can do it. You can either use like a circle punch and, punch a notch, right? And you got to punch a notch in the front and the back. Or you could just leave it the way it is and put like a pull tab on your pocket. This one I used a pull tab. Now, I would put it really close to the top. So I almost had to do a pull tab. And I may have to do that on this one too. So before we go any farther, we are ready now to close up. But I think while this is flat, I want to put on my pretty arch. Okay, I'm going to use liquid glue because, and that's what I tend to use. But of course you could use anything any glue that you like. My issue with, I left my glue open overnight, you guys. That's probably not smart. All right, open it up again. Here we go. Sometimes it takes a minute for liquid glue to grab when you've got foil paper. And even, I don't know, there's something about even the back of that foiled paper. I have trouble sometimes attaching it. What? See, I left it open overnight and it's got something in there. I'm going to have trouble with I usually have a second bottle ready to roll in case, but I don't today. All right. Anyway, so, okay. Arch, make it pretty, go around the edge, and just try to line that up. And then I'm just going to hold that for a sec. All right. So it's gorgeous out today, which is interesting since it snowed last night. I don't know if you guys got any snow. Snow is now melted, but it was so cold last night. And Jen was like, oh my gosh, because she went out to get coffee at like 2 in the morning. I don't know if 7 Brew's open 24/7 or Dunkin'. I don't know where she goes, but she gets coffee before she goes to work or on her lunch break. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But she was like, it's cold and it's snowing. Okay. So there's our arch. You can see that's pretty close to the top. I don't think I'm going to be able to cut much of a notch. If I do any notch, it'll be really small. I'm going to do a little one. I'm going to eyeball it. That is a 1-inch punch. And then on the back, I'm going to just kind of line up my sides. I haven't glued them yet, right? But I want to make sure the back is in the same place. So I'm going to mark it so that I can punch the same on this. Is that weird? Did it come flying at the camera? That was kind of fun. All right. let's see if that's going to be enough, or am I going to, yeah, I'm still going to need a little bit of a circle or a punch or a something. I have this scrap. I don't know if this scrap, I did not get this out for this purpose, so it's probably a bad size, but I'm going to make it, I'm going to cut 2 of them. This is actually, the color of this is actually called Pacifica. It's old Close to My Heart color. And why do I have it on my desk? Because I've been stash busting. That's why. Okay, so I'm just going to, what I like to do is put glue all over the background and make sure my panel's right side up. And make sure it's going to line up with the notch. Yep. I have glue. Now I take this one and put glue all over the background. And just line it up with the back. And squish that together. And then you've got a really sturdy holder, right? And that'll be perfect, right? Okay, we're ready. We're ready to peel and stick. Let's peel the backing off of the foam tape and stick this card together. So you can see the part of this card. The reason it took me so long to make this crazy card is because it felt like it had a lot of engineering or something. It just felt like a lot of work that I was like, do I really want to put that much time and effort into a card? I don't know. Up. I want to make sure this is over enough. Hold on a minute. I got to unstick that foam just a little. I'm gonna line up this edge over here and start there. And then I'm gonna work my way backwards towards my score. And then I'm gonna push along my score. That way my hinged accordion, I don't know what you want to call it, score. I think that turned out really nice. That looks really good. And then you have this pocket, see? And it comes all the way out. This is one of the things that I didn't love about the Jennifer McGuire version or whatever, was that it came all the way out. And I was like, you could add a stopper at the top. You'd have to make this pocket smaller and add a stopper so that when it pulled, it would stop up here. But then I was like, I did not make my card open, and I like the idea of writing my message on the back. Don't you think? I love the idea of doing that. And I really do think this is a big wowzer. I should have made that a little bit smaller. Learn from me. Do not what I do. Make it better. Make it better. Okay, so I pre-cut a couple of sentiments. I'm going to, now, at the risk of having it hitch up, I'm going to put a little glue and put my message here. Okay, so it could hitch up right there, going in and out, but it doesn't. But that is annoying. I'm gonna get out my blade and remove that little piece of cardstock that shows. That's really annoying to me. And then when it pulls out, see, it is hitching up just a little. I want to put this on the inside. The main thing is that you use enough glue so that there's no loose corners or edges, and really, really put that down. While that dries, I'm going to take my blade. I know, you guys are like, what? I'm just going to go across this. I'm trying to only go through one layer, But this is where sometimes I screw things up and have to fix things. But I'm just gonna remove some of that cardstock right there. I have a very, very sturdy glue on it. I've had people tell me before, when I glue stuff with that Barely Art glue, if they've tried to remove an element or something off of a scrapbook page or a card and do something else with it, and they can't get it loose, and they're like, what kind of adhesive did you use? It's Barely Art. Okay. Anyway, there we go. So there's our card. La, la. And you know what this needs? It needs gems. And you know what kind of gems it needs? It needs bees. You will be happy to know I finally ordered a second batch of bees. You'll stop hearing me complain that I'm almost out of these little bees. I hate these containers though. I'm getting ready to, I'll probably move these into different containers soon because it's so hard for me to open them. But I love these so much. Look at that. Isn't that great? I love the Bee Trinkets. The Bee Trinkets are like probably my favorite thing right now. 164714. Okay. There's card number 1, y'all. Ah, isn't it great? Would you love to get this card? I'm going to make 6 of them. Maybe when I do my random draw for paper, whoever I draw, I'll give a second one. I give card away or something. And because I'm going to have several, I just think they're gorgeous. And that blue, you're right. I like the blue better than the gray, but the gray is really pretty too. I wanted the flowers to pop. I thought that would make the flowers really stand out. Anyway, there's card 1. Ta-da! Oh, the messages come from this set right here. It is called Rolling Waves, and it is super popular right now. I've seen a lot of people online starting to use it as we start getting into warmer weather and people are taking trips. I love those bees, Heather. I never want to see them go away. I'll use them forever. They have some butterfly shaped embellishments coming out in the new catalog that are really cute, but they're colored and I need them to be the color I need them to be. They may work, I don't know. But anyway, I like the sentiments in here. I used the "You're in my thoughts," hoping your day is perfect. I love the little happy birthday. That would be great on here. The little thank you. This is a great card for those tiny little messages because they're small enough. They don't take away from the coolness of the card. My next one, I'm going to use giant message though. Yeah, you know what? The reason I haven't used this is a crazy thing, but I was going to do this card, this arched card that we have going on right now with this set. And when I went to stamp this image right here, it's got a big gaping error in it. It won't stamp. It will not stamp for me. So I called Stampin' Up and they're like, oh, we'll get one out to you right away. And I told them my class was Friday and this was like 3 days ago. And she said, I'll put it on Rush. And I said, don't put it on Rush. I'm like, please don't spend that money on something. I have so many new products to show. I don't need to show this particular one on Friday. It'll be fine. And she was like, she goes, I want you to have it for your class. And I'm like, no, it's okay. So I don't know when I'll get my replacement, but I thought, wow, that's customer service, baby. That's pretty amazing. So if you ever have something like that happen, I had that happen one time with Close to My Heart, like a long, long time ago. And they were the same way. They just replaced it, no problem. It was really nice. Okay, ready for card number 2? Let's see. Yes, I know the dies look good. I haven't even tried the dies. wouldn't it be awful if I tried the dies and then they didn't work and they sent me replacement stamps? Okay, I'm dropping things on the floor. Hold on. So today, what I decided, I thought, okay, one of the things that, the reason this card is so wow with Hero Arts is that they're known for their background stamps, stencils, dies that all coordinate together. And I've been wanting to do this one ever since it came out. So this Extraordinary Flora, it has a, of course it has the all over giant stamp we will use. It has the all over giant die that we can use. And it has this washi. And when you put this washi onto paper, this giant die matches it and cuts it out. It cuts, I've shown you that before. It cuts out the images just perfectly. We're going to use all three to make this card. So I'm going to set that stamp set aside. And then our window, I thought this branching out die set, the stamp set's not available anymore, but this die set, you know how I feel about layers. Hi, Margie. We're definitely going to use the layering dies. I think I got the ones I'm using out. And then the message, this is Julie Davison's $1 Million stamp set, and I try to use it as often as possible. And what I like about it is that the messages are huge, so they can be your focal point. And so the issue is, of course, that they don't have dies, so you have to fussy cut the message or put them onto a circle or an oval or a shape. And so, yeah, I fussy cut them, but it's a great set. There's a number, 164747. I try to support that as much as possible. I think that's amazing when somebody has sold that much. I was trying to think how much I've sold in my career, and there's no way for me to know. I know approximately. I'm hitting my 30-year mark this year, and I would say I've sold an average of, I don't know where I'm at. I'm gonna have to figure it out someday. Cause it's like I had a lean year or two when I first started, and then it grew. This is a retired pack. I think it's retired. I could be wrong. This is the beautiful Bokeh. If it's still available, there's the number, 164607. I have a lot of it left, and part of the reason I have a lot of it left is I forget I have it because I store it in a different place as my 12 by 12. It's hard for me to use 6 by 6 because I just don't look there. So I thought, okay, it's time. I really love this color. I think this is Berry Burst, I think. So I should get out my ink. Anyway, today, just to save a little time, I pre-cut a little bit of it. But I'm going to show you the card we're going to make, and you're going to understand what I'm talking about, but I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, so here's the card we're going to make. It's just like the other one, just a different shape, right? And instead of using the pre-printed paper, I'm using the stamp set as my plain Jane. Oh, good. It's still active. Good. Well, that's good because I sure have a lot of it. I need to start using it. It's so pretty. It's like like I said, I like these solids that are like a texture, Anyway, so in this case, we're using Hold on. I'm trying to pull everything out and it's like, ugh. Okay, so for the window, here's my dies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers, and I'm going to use number 1 and 2. Okay? So, same deal, right? I cut out, let's just take it step by step, and then I'll show you the reveal. Yeah, I'm putting that off. Okay, so the first things first is we have a card base. Now, I'm doing this one a little bit different. I am going to use panels. I'm going to use this as a panel, like almost like having a shaker thing on top of your card. So we're going to set our card base aside for a moment, and we're going to do this panel first. So the first thing is we take our number 1, number 2, and we want the smaller number 2, right? And we want to center that on there. So let me get out my machine, and I am just going to kind of center it side to side, center it top to bottom, eyeball it. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? Ideally, it's straight. The main thing is, what will show is if it's really wonky, but if it's not centered perfectly, it's not like the end of the world. All right, I'm gonna run this through my machine. Give me a sec. Okay. Now, look at that. I have another really cool panel to use on another card. I have a lot of these extra panels. Look, see? Ah. Now, I'm going to put this away for a moment because I pre-cut my frame. Now, my frame, I cut out of white. And I just, I did this number. I used the number 1 and the number 2, ran it through my machine, and when you remove these, this is what you end up with. You end up with a frame, and you end up with a piece in the center. I don't have my white piece left because I used it, but this is from a past one. I cut this out a lot, and I keep the centers because they make great fast cards. Okay, that's all we need with the panel. So I'm putting that away. And we can go ahead and glue this on while we're messing around with the rest of the card, because it takes a minute to dry, and it's nice to not sit and watch glue dry. Right? Okay. I'm going to put this on. Like that. Now, if you were really crooked with your cut, you could use the frame to try to straighten that just a little, but this is how I'm doing it. Okay. While this is drying, let's get our next panel ready, okay? So what we need is our beautiful color. We need our beautiful color, and it's going to be the washi tape. However, before we do that, let's do the front. Like, I need the window piece to show through. See the pink color or whatever? I took this die and I cut it. All right, hold on. I stacked it 2 panels, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I stacked them together. I put this die on in the center, centered side to side, centered as much as I could top to bottom. And I ran it through my machine, right? So what I ended up with is a cardstock and a panel like this. And the reason I did that is because I really felt like this needed some sturdiness. It just needed a little stir. I was afraid it would get torn up. So here we go again with our glue, and my glue's acting up today, so I may switch to a tape runner, but I'm just dotting glue all over. And then I'm going to put this on top. And I'm just nesting it together. It's not hard to do. You nest the holes. Don't worry about the edges. Nest the holes so that you don't see your white cardstock. The other thing that is going to help this panel is that I want to put, instead of just leaving it kind of open where you can touch it, I feel like it needs some window acetate on it. And so somewhere in my pile, I have a sheet of acetate. Now, where did it go? Hold on. You know, my problem with acetate, of course, is that it is clear, and I have no idea where I put it. Oh, there it is. Okay, ding. Sheesh. This is the Close to My Heart acetate, and it's got like a protective coating on it that keeps it from getting all scratched up. Now, I want this acetate on here, and I'm going to put it on the top because if I put it on the back, will it run smoother? I'm trying to remember which way I did this before. I think it needs to be on the top so that the front of your card isn't bumpy. You know, because otherwise you can feel this and see those little bits can get hung up. So, all right. I'm just gonna use my tape runner and put that on, and it doesn't have to, you don't really want tape in the window where it will show. You just want it around the edges. Like that. Because this frame will cover up your tape that you used, right? I don't know how I feel about that blue and that purple together, but I think it'll work. I just wanted to use up some of this paper. Okay, so there's that layer done. Now we need to make our little pull-out section, and it needs to match this. And so, oh, before I put that on, I should have done the, before you put your acetate on, line up a panel 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 with your cut pieces, and mark on it a pencil mark top and bottom. I happened to do that prior to going live, but I don't know why I did it, because, you know, I never usually do. But we're going to use this giant stamp. Now, I do have a block that fits this. However, I think I'm going to use my Misty tool today for that. And that way, any stamp positioner will work great. And the main thing is that you use your giant stamp in the right direction. So this is the direction that I am using. I see, I could have, this is the direction I'm using it. So I need to just make sure my stamp is that direction too, with this flower in the left corner. That's just to show you. And so I'm lining up this bottom right-hand leaf with my pencil marks, so there's a little tiny border, and then I'm lining up my top. It's just got to be close. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And I'm going to pick up my stamp, and I got to decide what color I want this to be. I could do it in black. I could do it in blue. I think I'll do it in the berry burst color because it looks weird. Let's see. Where is my berry burst? I think that's berry burst, yeah. Okay, I'm going to do it in this color. So I'm just going to tap on the ink. The stamp positioner is nice because you don't have to use a ton of ink to start with, because if you miss a section like here, you can just re-ink it and do it again. That's the beauty of a stamp positioner. Okay, there we go. Ta-da! Isn't that nice? I think that'll look good. We'll see. We're just trying different things. I have my Stampin' Mist cleaner on my rag. When I use my Misty, I use, instead of using a chamois, a stamp chamois, I like to use a rag instead. It seems like it gets into the nooks and crannies a little better, and it doesn't, I'm always afraid of tearing up my chamois on some of those stamps. Okay, we're done with that. Done with that. Done with this. There's our pocket. Okay, so now we have our pocket. We have our front piece, which needs to be glued together. Let's go ahead and get that glued together. I'm going to go ahead and use tape runner around the edges. And I'm just going to put this on, lined up the best I can. If I have to trim it, I will. It's not like the end of the world if it's not perfect, because I can always, like, you know, trim that off. It's not a big deal, because all these panels were kind of the same size, and if they're not, they're all going to go onto a card base anyway. So I just don't want the blue showing, really. It's going to be a white card base, right? So there is that. There's my part that's going to slide in. Oh, that looks so nice. Look at that. I love it. Okay, so now we need our pretty piece. We could go ahead and put our foam on. Let's do that while I'm messing around. I'm going to put my foam. Remember, this is the top, so we're going to make a pocket. So we need one at the bottom. One up the side. And then one up the side. Let's see, I just need a little piece, don't I? It's been exciting as a demonstrator to hear about convention. Convention was over the last weekend, and people have come home so excited. It's so fun. Okay, so here's my deal. To make my slidey pocket, I want to line this up just like that. That's how it's going to show. You see that? And I want it lined up the best I can. But you can see it's too big, right? So I need to put some pencil marks on the inside so that I can cut the sides off. And then the bottom, I can feel with my fingers where the tape is. And I need to remove it so that so my pocket will go in and out of there without any trouble. So I'm just gonna cut and I don't know if I'm gonna cut that quite as far as my mark. Okay, let's see. I think that'll work. There's the pocket. Does it line up pretty good? Oh yeah, look at that. See, it's on the inside of my marks and it shows through. This is gonna have to go like this. I might be able to do the this trick with this one. We'll see. Sorry, I have this going through so many layers is tricky. Woo! Not easy. And then I want that part to show. Okay, let's do the pretty part. Let me get out my card base. We could do another panel, but I really just want to do a card base. Let me score my card base in half. That's all I'm going to do is score it at the 4 1/4 mark, and you know, so for card bases, you're probably wondering what I do. You know, I like to buy that thick cardstock and just take the whole pack and cut it down into card bases, because that's really the only thing I really use the super thick for, mostly. And so that's what I did. I just cut it into different sizes of card bases. All right, so we're going to have this panel on here, but we've got to make it pretty first. And so the reason a panel is a nice way to put the washi tape on is that you can wiggle the panel around. So let me show you what I mean. Oh, I'm over an hour. We're almost done. We're almost done. Okay, so we have this washi, right? And if you look at, I'm just going to set this down for a second so you can see what I'm talking about. You can see this cuts out the whole thing. It also matches the giant stamp, so that's cool. And we want our panel to show like that. Isn't that cool? So we need our washi tape on our panel. And it looks to me like this is pretty centered, but we need it fairly close to the top of our panel and fairly well centered side to side. And I am just going to run it over. I like to use my bone folder. Now there's 2 different versions of this washi tape. And if you look at it, one version is pink and one version is purple. And I think the purple one is going to be better. Good job. But So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna make this panel pink. I can make that another card with that. I'll set it aside. Or I can just cut it out and have all those flowers. They're so pretty. I love having all the extra flowers. Okay, so here is the second color. It's the exact same design. So when you put it on there, we'll do the purple one. All right, I'm centering it the best I can. And I'm just gonna use my bone folder and smooth it out. And you can always trim the washi so that you don't lose any of your other flower design. Okay, I'm gonna lay this on here. Is it straight? Is it gonna end up being perfect on my card base? No, look, I'm crooked. Of course I am. So here's my thing about having a card base like this, is that you can trim it a little smaller and you can trim it a little at the bottom. And the best part about this is that you can just glue this to the front of your card, and then look, and then you can move this around a little bit to make sure that it works good. See, look at this. You can move this around and make it where it needs to be. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it close. So it looks like, yeah, not bad. So I'm just going to put some tape runner down on the front of my card. Is this too much work? I don't know. I love it. And now we're ready to adhere. The thing about this card is it is so beautiful. It's so pretty. I got that. At the last minute, my whole hand went, so it's a little off, but that's okay. I don't think I can pull that away at this point in the game. Let me see. I like, at the last minute, my hand shook. I think I'm shaky. I think I need to eat. I think that's why. My blood sugar is probably low or something. All right. It's gonna work. It's fine. Okay. And then we have our pocket. And our reveal. Ah, isn't that pretty? You guys. So that's a way to do it if you don't want to color. I think they're both equally time consuming. And then I really like this thank you on the front. And I need to do something to make it show more, whether that's a big circle or outlining it in more of that Berry Burst cardstock or popping it up or something. And then one thing I noticed is like these little, what are they called? Strawberry Slush? Strawberry Slush and Pretty in Pink Gems. These look so nice on here that I thought it was kind of cool to take the gems and put them on the outside of the acetate on the flowers. Because when the card, when you've got the boring part of the card in there, right? It's a little drab. But then when you pull it out, it needs a ribbon or something on there. When you pull it out, see, you still see the gems on the flowers. I think that's kind of cool idea. That's something that Jennifer McGuire did on one of her cards. And I was like, oh, brilliant. She's brilliant. You know? And so, let me show you, finally, this one. I put a little bit of ribbon at the top with a staple. I just stapled some ribbon so it has a pull. And I used the Thinking of You. And ta-da! Yeah, I like it with the purple better than the blue. I think I like it with the gold better. I really need to put some ribbon on there. Okay. I don't know. Wow, they're both really nice. They're both really nice. And I love how... What do you think? What do you think? Do you love it? I hope you do. And I'd love to hear what you think about that. And then here's the other two cards we made today. Here's the one with the blue. And here's the one with the grayish background. And so there you go. That is what I've got today. I hope that you really love this card because it took some time, but it's so pretty. And if you assembly line them like I'm about to do, you'll get them all done in an afternoon. They go really quick when you do them assembly line. So have a good afternoon, everybody. See you Friday.